So the big news here in Britain is that the full countrywide lockdown is ending in 1 week. And everyone's very happy about that, so we can potentially have a Christmas. But what they're not talking about are the new, harder restrictions on a new tiered system. And the tier 3 is the one that is most concerning. And a group of 70 Tory MPs called the COVID Recovery Group has expressed concern and said that these new, tougher measures in tier 3 could result in the loss of thousands of businesses. And while that might not affect London in the short term, because they're talking about tier 2 here, there's a lot of regions in the UK, especially our brothers and sisters up north, who could easily get stuck with these tier 3 lockdown. And Professor Carl Hennigan of Oxford University recently commented that we see cases dropping across the country. Probably nothing to do with lockdown, in my opinion, but he's saying that the trend shows that we really need to reconsider these harsh tiered structures. And the problem is there is no science to the tiers as far as how you go from tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 3. There's no cases per 100,000. And when you come to a place like London, we have 32 boroughs, with each one having different infection rates. And yet the current mayor of London says we all go as one, which means he's trigger happy to lock this entire city down if one borough or two boroughs or three boroughs starts getting higher cases. And as we know, more testing, more cases. As we know, the test has false positives. And so we could wake up in 2021 after a New Year's Eve celebration and find out, boom, we're all of a sudden back in tier 3 and our hospitality sector is decimated again. The sports venues they had opened are closed again. And this cycle could continue through January, February, March, and we just don't know how long. So before we get all excited and start clapping our hands and saying thank you so much to our government for giving us 5 days over Christmas to mix with our households, perhaps we should be looking closer at this tier 3 system, but more importantly, asking ourselves a bigger question, which is this: why are we doing all of this? You know, I just had Professor Martin Kurdorf from Harvard Medical School on my show, and I'm about to have his colleague from Oxford University on London Real next week to talk about their Great Barrington Declaration. And it's this concept of focused protection. And he said, Brian, I realized that when you go from being a 7-year-old to a 70-year-old, your vulnerability to the disease goes up 1,000-fold. He said, Brian, as a scientist, we rarely see something that goes up 2 or 5 times based on different age groups. He said, this is unprecedented. So why are we treating every age of the population the same? It doesn't make sense. He said, everybody under 60 who isn't suffering from any type of medical condition should be out working. He said, it makes no sense to even test anybody under 18. Then why are we restricting our children from going to school if they have an infected classmate? None of this stuff makes sense because none of our leaders are using the science. They have one tool: lockdown, lockdown, lockdown. And they use it, and by using it, we crush the economy because no one is talking about the cost-benefit analysis. I've seen studies that say it's a 10-to-1 worst case scenario when we shut the economy down because of the damage we do to jobs, the actual lives lost because they can't get medical treatment, the mental health consequences, and the fact that some of our businesses will never come back from this. So we need to think long and hard about this tier system. And again, I'm happy we're unlocking the country down, but let's really look at this tier 3 system and hold our politicians to make sure that either we loosen the restrictions there or we start using the science. Please leave me your comments below. Tell me what you think. Share this video if it resonates with you. And I appreciate you. Thank you.